Hello and welcome to India Global. I am Ankit Tyagi. Let's quickly take a look at the top stories we are tracking at this moment. In a major setback for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, Yemen President Rashad al-Alimi on Monday approved the death sentence. Nimisha Priya, who was convicted of murder, is likely to be executed in a month's time. Germany accuses Elon Musk of attempting to influence upcoming election. Musk backs far-right AFD in controversial German op-ed. A South Korean court has issued an arrest warrant for impeached suspended President Yoon Suk Yeol over short-lived bid to impose martial law in the country. Chinese President Xi Jinping has declared no one can stop China's reunification with Taiwan. In a televised New Year speech, Xi reiterated his stance, calling the people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait one family and warning pro-independence forces both within Taiwan and abroad. New Zealand becomes first country to ring 2025. New Zealand rings the new year with massive firework display. In a major setback for Kerala nurse Nimisha Priya, Yemen President Rashad al-Alimi on Monday approved the death sentence for the nurse who has been convicted of murder and is likely to be executed in a month's time. Now, though Nimisha Priya's family was engaged in negotiations with the victim's family to secure a waiver of death penalty, the discussions headed nowhere and, in fact, no results were found. She was convicted for murder of Yemen's national Talal Abdo Mahdi. The incident occurred in 2017. Nimisha overdosed Mahdi with sedatives in order to obtain her passport from his possession. She was convicted in 2018. Meanwhile, the Indian government has said that they are extending all help to Priya's kids.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chandran. Are there any legal options left for Nimisha Priya at this point in time?
Yeah, of course, there are legal options. Legal options in Yemen, the Sharia law prevails. So according to Sharia law, if the family is ready to give the pardon by receiving the diya money, so she can be save her life from the execution. So this is, we understand, we spoke with some legal experts there. So we understand after Supreme Judicial Council's order, the final judgment, this is a formal procedure for giving the assent from the, getting the assent from the President of Yemen. So still, if the family is ready to accept the diya money and pardon her, her life will be saved. And we are trying to explore that. But having said that, now we are facing a challenge because according to the Yemen prevailing situation, we are unable to reach out there. We are unable to travel to Yemen. So we need the support from the government of India. Only the union can support us. And if the union is intervening and if union is means helping us to have the negotiation with the family, we, the Nimisha Priya International Action Council, is ready to pay whatever amount is demanded by the family for as diya money. So we request the Indian government, the union government, to immediately intervene to this issue and extend the all support for saving a life of Ms. Nimisha Priya.
Right, so extending all help is what the External Affairs Ministry has gone on to say, knowing that they're very fully aware of the case and of course what has really happened. But take us through, what really is needed as far as Priya's appeal is concerned. That has also been rejected because her release really depends on securing forgiveness from the victim's family and their tribal leaders.
So actually, we understand the negotiation, the discussion with the family is yet to be started. The discussion, the initial discussions were happening with the tribal leaders there. So still the family is not given any kind of assent, or they did not deny to the offer of this diya money. So we will have to explore that option. That is the final option. If the family is ready to accept the diya money and pardon her, then her life will be saved. If the family says no, then there is no other option. So we are hopeful. We are still hopeful. We can approach that's the final option. So the family can be approached, and the family will be means taken. They will consider our request. So and for means having this discussion means I have already said. Now the difficulty is the prevailing political situation in Yemen. So none of the Indians are allowed to travel to Yemen as per right now. So we need the Indian mission support there, the Ministry of External Affairs support for having the discussion with the family. And once the family is ready, if they are accepting the diya amount, whatever amount they claims, we are ready to raise that as a public fund, and we will be means transferring the amount according to their wish.
Right, Mr. Chandran, also, time is of essence here, and time seems to be running out because the execution sentence could be as early as within a month's time, according to media reports.
Yeah, exactly. We do understand that. I mean, now the time frame is very limited. So 30 days time is there, and we are in a hurry. We are trying all possible ways, and the major the stakeholder, the major role can be played by the government of India, the union government, and apart from that, we are trying all the possible ways to taking many individuals or the Indian diasporas on board to resolve this issue. So we are hopeful. We are still hopeful we can save Nimisha Priya's life.
Let's go across to my colleague Mohammad Ghazali, who's joining us with more details on this story. Mohammad Ghazali, as the lawyer of Nimisha Priya, was telling us that all eyes are on the government of India for the help. What is the Ministry of External Affairs saying on this?
See, as the lawyer also rightly pointed out, there are two issues which has made the entire case very complex. One, no Indian is allowed to travel to Yemen because we don't have any diplomatic cover. Even the Rashmi's, the accused's mother, who is facing the jail, the Indian national from Kerala, the nurse, her mother also managed to travel to Kerala only after the intervention of Delhi High Court. The second is that the External Affairs Ministry was negotiating with her lawyer, who was fighting the case in Yemen, through the diplomatic mission in Saudi Arabia, through the embassy officials in Saudi Arabia, from the Saudi government support. Now, the only critical point is that either you pay the death money, or what we call in Arabic qasas. If you pay that blood money, then only and if the family agrees, then the charges will be dropped and she'll be free from there. But the family has asked for some around 40,000 US dollars, which is actually equal to more than 3 crore Indian currency. The family has not been able to even arrange that kind of money. The standoff started when the lawyer who was fighting the case in Yemen for the victim, even that lawyer also demanded extra money. The money was provided by the Indian embassy in Saudi Arabia, but after that there was a complete standoff between the family of the person who was killed as well as the lawyer who was fighting the case there. It also became very complex because the area where she has been held up, or she is in prison in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen, that comes under the control of Houthis. We all know what kind of risk Houthis are posing for the maritime security in the Gulf region.
Right.
And we know that Indian Navy and Indian officials were involved in some of the rescue operations against the Houthis.
Right.
So all these geopolitical issues does make it very complex, but we also know earlier this year that how the influence of Prime Minister Modi rescued our 8 ex-naval officers who were also sentenced for spying in Qatar.
That's right.
But the difference is that we recognize Qatar. Qatar is our ally in the Middle East, but we don't recognize Houthis who are governing Yemen right now. So that is where the complexity has put this case very complex, and perhaps Indian government will have to put more pressure on Saudis to find their allies in Yemen, to convince either the family or the government to change its verdict.
Thank you, Mohammad Ghazali, for joining us with all those details. Moving on now, it seems tech billionaire Elon Musk could be in trouble with the German government now accusing him of trying to meddle in the country's upcoming elections. In fact, the government has said that Mr. Musk is meddling in the election campaign with repeated endorsements of the far-right party, the Alternative for Germany, AID, and Musk, in an op-ed published in German Daily last week, called the party the last spark of hope for the country, claiming only AID can save Germany. His remarks triggered anger among German politicians, with the country 7 weeks away from the snap federal election. This is not Musk's first controversy surrounding his support for far-right parties in Europe. Earlier this month, Elon Musk met with Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, with reports suggesting the Tesla chief could even send donations to Farage's party. The visuals of Farage shaking hands with Musk sent shockwaves across the United Kingdom and received severe backlash. The big question then is, what's driving Elon Musk's push to the right, and is the freedom of speech, or is this election interference? These are important questions that people are asking at this moment. Let's try and discuss this in more details at this moment. We are being joined by Professor Andrew Lattin, Professor of Political Science, Nicholas Nugent, British, and we are also being joined, I beg your pardon, by Nicholas Nugent. He's a British journalist, former BBC editor in London. Gentlemen, thank you for speaking to us and giving us your time. Professor, let me understand by asking you, sir, at this moment, these are very serious allegations that the government of Germany and the politicians are putting on Mr. Elon Musk. How is this being seen by the public and being received there by the public? What is the perception?
Well, I think the perception is that he is interfering, although even representatives of the German government have said that he is entitled to freedom of speech. Germany is still a democratic republic. But he has weighed in on Italian politics. He's weighed in on British politics. Obviously, he's very influential in terms of American politics and now German politics. And I think, as a point of departure, I would say that many Germans would agree with his diagnosis of the problem. Germany is overtaxed and overregulated, and there are other reasons for its economic decline, but those are important. But it's his prescription that's problematic, because the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, Alternative for Germany, isn't just about deregulation and lower taxes. It's also about cultural issues relating to migration, and it's also about leaving the European Union, which, as the Brits know, even though they didn't share a currency, was difficult enough. But for Germany to leave the Eurozone and the European Union would be, by all accounts, except for the AfDs, an economic disaster.
Right. Nicholas, there is this big debate whether this is freedom of speech of Mr. Musk or is it actual election interference. He is, after all, a tech billionaire, very influential now with the Trump administration coming in, and has the means, in fact, to try and help the parties or whichever side he deems fit.
Well, indeed, I think you're asking the right questions, especially about freedom of speech and electoral interference. At the moment, he's speaking his mind, and I think it's really not quite the moment to accuse him of electoral interference. He's just stating his opinion. But the risk is that it goes further, and as you've already alluded to the fact that the rumour, it's nothing more than a rumour, that he might fund one of the British political parties. So the whole issue of electoral interference is very much in contention or in discussion at the moment. I mean, let's not forget that 2 countries in Europe are accusing Russia of interfering in their election. That's to say Georgia and more recently Romania, where the presidential election was cancelled. Might call clandestine interference. It's not very open.
Right.
So now we've got a different sort of alleged interference whereby a prominent businessman, let's face it, that's what he essentially is expressing his opinion. If it were just the fact that he's a prominent businessman, perhaps nobody would be concerned. But he's also a close ally of the incoming United States president. And that's what causes some concern, especially because of Mr. Trump's stated intention to increase tariffs. In other words, he's no great buddy of the European Union, and he sees it essentially as an economic competitor with the United States.
Right.
So if Mr. Musk then states his opinion, it risks seeming like the opinion of the incoming United States government. Little too early to say that,
Yes.
but yes, we are wary of we're wary of interference. In Britain's case, it happened after our election, so we can't make an allegation of interference. It seems
Right.
to be subsequent to the election. But in Germany's case, it's coming before the election, hence that
Okay.
suggestion and indeed concern.
Let me pick up from what you were saying, in fact, though it's a little too early, Professor Latin, but the fact remains that, Elon Musk is close to Donald Trump. He's part of the incoming administration as well. Will it have an impact, let's say, on Germany-US ties? If the government, the party that he likes, doesn't come to power, will it have the impact on United States and Germany ties?
I think it sort of poisons the well in this sense. If he were simply speaking as a private citizen who's invested massively in Germany, by the way, and therefore that's the hook that he says entitles him to have an opinion, that would be one thing. But he's not just a private citizen and an investor and a businessman. He's also, in just a few weeks now, not even a few weeks, an agent of the US government. And whatever signals he's sending now has got to be picked up on the European side, the German side in this case in particular, as Donald Trump and the US administration incoming speaking. And that's why I frame it this way. Elon Musk has every right to comment on British, Italian, German, whatever elections. That doesn't make it the right thing to do given where he is situated now in this political discourse and in this geopolitical reality. And I think he's sending all the wrong signals. One of the big questions underlying all of this is to what extent there is a tension between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, because they're sort of on the same page, but not entirely. And there's two massive egos crashing into each other here, and that yet has to be resolved in the context of American politics.
Right, and Nicholas, and Elon Musk is also seen as somebody who is abrasive. His opinions are out there. He doesn't shy away from saying what he wants to. Of course, the kind of resources that he has gives him that privilege as well. But just a word about, so far this push that we are seeing from a lot of these billionaires, and specifically in the case of Mr. Musk, supporting the right-wing movements or the far right sometimes in different countries. It's almost trying to create a brotherhood in every country that they possibly want to influence.
Well, indeed, I think you're slightly anticipating a greater influence than we might see. It's so far only a small number of countries, notably Germany, where he appears to be interfering. But I mean, what we're doing is balancing the right of free speech, which I believe in very strongly, as do most Europeans, I would say, and indeed most Americans, against political interference or interference with the democratic process. We just got to be wary of that. And a third factor is Mr. Musk is essentially a businessman. So to what extent is his stated view a view that supports his principle of free trade or indeed commercial matters? We can't get away from the fact. So Mr. Musk is an interesting character. He's not only a very rich American, but he's a businessman with political leanings, as we're going to see, as Mr. Latham made clear. He is, to some extent, a representative of the incoming administration. So we watch with interest.
Right. In conclusion, Professor Latham, let me ask you this then. It might be limited to Germany, but is there, or, in some case that we are talking about Italy or Britain, is there a fear that, these kind of businessmen, such billionaires going behind or putting their weight, even, by speaking or writing op-eds or expressing their opinions for the far-right groups or right-leaning parties, this could, in fact, tilt somewhere the balance as far as elections are concerned? Not just in these countries,
Yes.
but others as well.
The short answer is yes. I think we see that even avowed kind of progressive lefty billionaires, Bezos, people like that, are increasingly being drawn by the gravitational pull of the Trump movement, as it were, into the Trump camp. And we see that in the United States, and I see it in an incipient form across the world. I mean, I can see the Musk-Trump worldview. I can see it reflected in India, the Modi government. I can see it reflected with the Meloni government in Italy. I can see it reflected in Farage's aspiring and potentially actual government in 7 or 8 years. So I think the tectonic plates of global politics are shifting. This is not 1945 and it's not 1991. This is 2024.
Right.
And I think there are some big shifts afoot, and I'm not sure that all of them are really, from my perspective, welcome.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your views here on NDTV World. It's a pleasure speaking to you, but this is a big debate. As our guests were also saying, it's just not one billionaire, in fact, speaking about it. We have seen how in India there have been questions about George Soros in the election interference also being raised vis-a-vis Russia and America. Now, of course, Elon Musk is being accused of the same in Germany as well. With that, we are slipping into a very short break. News and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
This baby bear is terrified, torn from her mother's paws at a tender age. They will force her to live alone in a tiny, filthy cage, like so many bears driven mad by loneliness, rubbing their wounds raw against the bars, suffering cruelly day after day, year after year, just for people's entertainment. Four Paws found little Potap crammed into a tiny, squalid cage. He'd been there for almost 9 years, lonely and isolated. There are so many more young bears who need your help. Please call 0800 038 0455 or text CUB3 to 78866 and give £2 a month to help rescue them. Every month, your £2 could help us free more bears, help give bears the veterinary care they need, and help them live happy, healthy lives in the freedom of our natural sanctuaries. Call 0800 038 0455 or text CUB3 to 78866 and give £2 a month and help Four Paws free bears from agonizing torture. Please, don't leave these bears to suffer for a single day more.
It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
Luckily, Liam moved his credit card balances to his new Barclay card, so he'll pay no interest on his purchases for 31 months. What you buy is your business. Helping you pay less interest is ours. Barclay card. Make money work for you.
Those weeks that he came in, with the 3 weeks that I could be his little girl again, nothing I can do will repay Marie Curie for doing that for me. The amazing gift that they gave me was I was there at his last breath. He was there for my first. I will give everything back that I can to the hospice that gave me so much.
Give better end-of-life care to all. Get your free will guide today.
Step into an unforgettable year with a VIP, a very important postcode, because in People's Postcode Lottery's January draws, players in one winning postcode will each win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Fill your calendar with the things you've always dreamed of. Sign up before midnight tonight for you and your neighbours' chance to win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Is your door in the draw?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's shift focus to South Korea, where a court on Tuesday approved an arrest warrant for President Yoon Suk Yeol, who has been impeached and suspended from power over his decision to impose martial law on December 3rd. Investigating authorities have said that the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials confirmed the Seoul Western District Court approved the warrant. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has pledged to strengthen his country's strategic partnership with Russia. In a New Year's letter to President Vladimir Putin, Kim praised the deepened ties between the two countries and expressed willingness to collaborate on new projects. Kim also declared 2025 as the year of victory for Russia, referencing its war against what he called neo-Nazism. Short break at this moment. News and updates continue here on India Global. Don't go anywhere.
This is an urgent appeal from UNICEF UK. Conflict in Gaza is cutting off supplies of food and clean water. Thousands of children are malnourished and sick. UNICEF is working non-stop, treating children like 2-year-old Lean with life-saving therapeutic food. Her story is just one of thousands. Search UNICEF UK Gaza or text Gaza to 84902 and help bring hope for children caught in this conflict.
You could save money on your energy, broadband and mobile bills and feel more protected when you switch to a better deal. Switch and save now at uswitch.com.
You weren't supposed to burn the potatoes or invite everyone round at 2.
It's 3 o'clock, right?
We weren't supposed to do presents this year.
I can't even be mad at you now, can I?
And you weren't supposed to take everyone home again. We weren't supposed to have our Beth either. We weren't supposed to get married. And you weren't supposed to be here. But you are, thanks to the best gift you ever got. And mine is still having you.
To help us fund life-saving research, donate 5, 10 or 20 pounds, text 5, 10 or 20 to 70499.
This winter sale, say OMG because our best ever price is back. You'll get this unlimited data SIM for just £22 per month. And you can gift data to the family, so you can start the new year more connected to everyone and everything. All on the UK's best network. That's why families choose EE. Hurry, this winter sale offer ends 30th of January.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs, and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £120 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
Sale now on. Get up to £100 off selected Hisense cooking appliances. Shop now at ao.com.
In our January draws, players in one winning postcode will each win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Sign up before midnight tonight.
2024 saw its share of ups and downs, controversies, and of course a lot of sparkle with greatness. Olympics also this year and many elections. So on the last day of the year 2024, let's give you a roundup of how the year was. 2024 was a year marked by elections around the world. Roughly 70 countries headed to the ballots, with some re-electing incumbent governments and others signaling a desire for change. From Narendra Modi coming back to power for a historic third term to Donald Trump, forceful comeback as the 47th President of the United States of America. Here's a look at a few of the significant elections from around the world.
2024, a year filled with political turmoil, a year of political decisions that will shape nations for decades to come. 2024 was a tumultuous year for global democracy, where a fifth of the world's population from over 70 countries headed to the ballot box. While the US saw a fiercely contested race, Europe saw a swing to the right, with far-right parties such as Marine Le Pen's National Rally emerging in the European Union polls. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka, in its first election since recovering from a financial crisis, elected its first left-leaning president. 2024 was not the year for the incumbents. Voters across the globe made their voice clear. Their message, you're fired. From the US to Sri Lanka, Japan, France and Britain, voters tired of economic disruption and global instability rejected sitting governments and even turned to disruptive outsiders. Here's a look at some of the key elections that transformed global politics. Let's start somewhere closer home, with India. India, the largest democracy in the world and the most populous, saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi return to power for a historic third term. With the Bharatiya Janata Party-led NDA coalition securing the majority in the general elections, although with a smaller margin. Meanwhile, regional parties shone on the national stage under the India bloc. Asia saw several other crucial elections. While dynasties influenced some, many rejected the old guard. Pakistan, where despite populist leader Imran Khan being behind bars, his party, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, won the most seats in the elections. However, after weeks of turmoil, ultimately the Pakistan Muslim League N formed the government with Shehbaz Sharif as Prime Minister. Yet in a curveball, Sri Lanka picked left-leaning National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake as its next president, rejecting all its traditional picks. In Europe, several countries, including France and UK, saw the far right emerge victorious this election season. June's parliamentary elections in the 27-member European Union saw conservative populists and far-right factions challenging the ruling parties in France and Germany, the bloc's most prominent and influential nations. Meanwhile, UK's July election saw the Conservatives ousted with 14 years in office as the Labour Party swept to power in a landslide. Yet, voter turnout was at a record low in 20 years. Struggling from an economic and healthcare crisis, the country saw an emergence of the hard right party, Reform UK, led by Nigel Farage. In France too, Marine Le Pen's National Rally grew stronger, despite not being able to secure a majority. A wave of anti-incumbency also swept Africa. From South Africa to Senegal, Ghana and Botswana, all saw incumbents who have been in power for decades defeated. The most significant amongst them, the collapse of the African National Congress in South Africa. The party, once headed by Nelson Mandela, lost its majority for the first time since the end of apartheid, forcing it into a coalition with opposition parties. Meanwhile, amid wars, both Iran and Russia held polls. Iran, in a surprise move, elected a reformist president, Masoud Pezeshkian, after the death of former President Ibrahim Raisi, while Russian President Putin cemented his tight grip on power with 6 more years. However, the year's most consequential election was yet to come. After a fierce fight against Vice President Kamala Harris on everything from abortion, immigration to the economy, Donald Trump secured a landslide victory in November's US presidential elections, leaving the world on the edge for what the unpredictable America First leader will do in his second term at the White House. From his tariff threats against Canada, Mexico and India, to threatening to buy the Panama Canal and Greenland. Trump has also set the ball going.
It seems democracy's bumpy ride will continue well into 2025, with many more incumbents put to the test. From Germany's Olaf Scholz to Canada's Justin Trudeau, all heading to crucial elections where far-right opposition parties are already being favored by the voters. All eyes will be on the voters to see what they decide. Disha Bagchi for NDTV.
As 2024 comes to a close, the year was marked by unprecedented levels of war and destruction challenging the geopolitics across the globe. From the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza to the Russian invasion of Ukraine, as well as the civil wars in Sudan and other parts of Africa. The ripple effect of these crises was felt in all arenas of life, from the economy to energy and much more. Take a look at this report, which delves into the wars that have devastated the world in 2024.
(2024), another year marked by the shattering of lives. Another year where the echoes of gunfire drown out the laughter of children. A year where the world watched in horror as conflict engulfed nations. From the war in Ukraine to the escalating tensions in the Middle East and beyond, millions were forced to flee their homes, with their lives torn apart by violence, fear, and their world at war. Russia's war on Ukraine, now in its third year, has devastated cities and displaced millions. The Kremlin's stated goal of halting NATO's eastward expansion continues to inflict widespread destruction. According to the United Nations, civilian casualties have tragically surpassed 12,000, with over 14 million Ukrainians displaced from their homes. The World Bank estimates the war has inflicted over $100 billion in damages to Ukraine's infrastructure. Meanwhile, in October 2023, an attack by Hamas in Gaza, which killed over 1,000 people, triggered an intense Israeli retaliation, reigniting violence throughout the region. Israel's military operations extended across the region, targeting Iranian proxies such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthi rebels. In Yemen, Houthi forces intercepted vessels they accused of aiding Israel, while cross-border skirmishes with Hezbollah escalated into a major crisis. By September, Israeli strikes on Hezbollah's paging devices resulted in dozens of fatalities, pushing the region toward critical instability. A November ceasefire brought a temporary halt to the violence. In Syria, rebels mounted rapid offensives, toppling the Iran-backed Assad regime. This victory triggered a fresh wave of violence as factions vied for control, further destabilizing the region. Iran's proxies found themselves weakened, giving Israel an opportunity to consolidate its position in the Middle East. Africa, too, faced a surge in conflict. In Ethiopia, the Tigray region remains a humanitarian catastrophe. The United Nations estimates over 5 million people have been displaced, with hundreds of thousands facing famine. In Sudan, A power struggle between rival military factions has plunged the nation into chaos. Tens of thousands of people have been killed. 12 million have been displaced. The country on the brink of famine, more than half of its 48 million citizens are acutely food insecure. According to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, also known as ACLED, the world witnessed over 200,000 fatalities in violent incidents this year alone. Half of these deaths occurred in Ukraine, Palestine, and Myanmar. In the past 2 years, fatalities in Afghanistan have declined, overtaken by rising death tolls in these emerging hotspots. According to ACLED, Palestine, Myanmar, Syria, Mexico, Nigeria, Brazil, Lebanon, Sudan, Cameroon, and Colombia have been categorized as extreme conflict zones. Civilians have borne the brunt of these wars, with an alarming average of 5,500 fatalities per month from targeted violence in 2024. As 2024 draws to a close, without decisive action, the cycle of violence threatens to spiral into new regions. With Rhythm Arcadia, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
Short break at this moment. We are coming back with much more on the other side. Stay tuned.
This is an urgent winter appeal from CARE International. Around the world, conflict and extreme weather have forced women and their families from the safety of their homes. Now they brace themselves for a brutally cold winter without adequate shelter, clothing or heating.
الولاد ما نعرف ندفيهم وبرد وصدي يعني نمنا الشتي ما يجينا هغطي مابو أطفالنا حفيانين أطفالنا جوعانين.
With no home, shelter or way to keep warm, winter is a terrifying time. Help CARE work with women when disaster strikes. By donating right now, you could help provide warmth, shelter and supplies to women who urgently need them. Call 0800 144 5550 or go online to give what you can. For women left with nothing, your donation means everything. Please donate today and help women like Rama seek shelter and hope this winter. Thank you.
The Sharps half-price sale is now on. Fitted furniture for living spaces and home offices that makes the most of any space. Trust Sharps to transform any room, helping you balance work and home life. With stunning designs and tailored storage solutions, giving you more space to enjoy your home. The Sharps half-price sale is now on. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Step into an unforgettable year with a VIP, a very important postcode. Because in People's Postcode Lottery's January draws, players in one winning postcode will each win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Fill your calendar with the things you've always dreamed of. Sign up before midnight tonight for you and your neighbours' chance to win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Is your door in the draw?
Hello. How was Iceland? It was good, I guess. Had a few issues here and there. Didn't you check Brighton? No, the sun wasn't bright at all. Iceland, you know.
Wait, you don't know Brighton?
They must have missed out on some seamless visa assistance.
Plus extra baggage allowance and 24/7 customer support.
I mean, there's a reason they're rated excellent on Trustpilot.
Brighton Travel, making travel brighter.
2024 marked a year of upheaval and turmoil in neighboring Bangladesh with the ouster of long-serving Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Now, this has strained the relations between India and Bangladesh as Sheikh Hasina was seen close to the Indian dispensation. Meanwhile, now the new government in Bangladesh asking for extradition of Sheikh Hasina could further strain ties between both the neighbors.
This was meant to be Dhaka's decade, when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina would cement her legacy as the leader who propelled Bangladesh to great heights. But 2024 has brought a dramatic turn. What began with triumph swiftly descended into chaos. In January, Hasina stood victorious. She became Bangladesh's longest-serving Prime Minister after a landslide win over rival Khaleda Zia in the Battle of Begums. Hasina oversaw impressive economic growth, with GDP soaring from $100 billion in 2009 to $460 billion by 2022. But cracks began to show. In June this year, protests erupted after a Supreme Court ruling reinstated a controversial 30% quota for descendants of freedom fighters. What started as peaceful protests quickly turned violent as students demanded merit-based opportunities, clashing with Hasina's supporters. By July, the government's response grew harsher. Tear gas, curfews and shoot-on-sight orders became routine. The nation teetered on the edge. On 5th of August, Hasina, once untouchable, fled into exile as the violence spiraled out of control. Over 1,500 people, mostly students, were killed in the unrest. What began as a political fight had evolved into a call for sweeping change. As Hasina's power crumbled, the world turned to Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, who now leads an interim government. But Yunus's rise has been controversial. In an attempt to rewrite history, the new government moved swiftly to erase Hasina's father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, from the nation's memory and its currency. Meanwhile, the international community's concerns grew. Human rights abuses, corruption, economic instability started overshadowing Bangladesh's previous success. The Asian Development Bank slashed its growth forecast, while the World Bank warned that rural households were at risk of falling back into poverty. The violence also deepened. Islamist groups like Jamaat-e-Islami, once sidelined, are now back in power. Attacks on minorities surged, and the arrest of a Hindu monk on sedition charges sent shockwaves across the region, raising alarm bells in New Delhi. In exile, Hasina accused Yunus' government of failing to protect minorities, even suggesting it was complicit in a genocide against Hindus. The most startling shift, however, is Bangladesh's new geopolitical direction. After decades of tension, Bangladesh is drawing closer to Pakistan. The two nations have resumed trade, reopened flights, and are now considering joint naval drills. The 2025 visit by Pakistan's Joint Chief of Staff to Dhaka, the first in over 50 years, has sent shockwaves across South Asia. For India, this is a major red flag. As military ties between Bangladesh and Pakistan grow, the balance of power in the region is now at risk.
As the year comes to a close, all eyes are on Muhammad Yunus. Will he indeed conduct elections and lead Bangladesh back to democracy? Will the country survive 2025, or will it be another dark chapter in the country's history? Arjun Samar Mahendran for NDTV World.
While India entered 2024 with ties with Canada on the rocks, relationship between both the countries took a sharp nosedive in the second half of the year after Ottawa linked several Indian diplomats, including the High Commissioner Sanjay Verma, to murder of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Take a look at the rocky relations between India and Canada.
Some say don't fear the enemy that attacks you, but the fake friend that hugs you. Through a series of baseless allegations, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has turned out to be that friend for India. India-Canada relations were already in a downward spiral when the Trudeau government came out with something that shook the foundations of the bilateral relations.
A lot of questions, and we are following.
In October, the Trudeau government named the then Indian High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, and several other diplomats as persons of interest in the investigation into the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
It is obvious that the government of India made a fundamental error in thinking that they could engage in supporting criminal activity against Canadians here on Canadian soil, whether it be murders or extortion or other violent acts. No country, particularly not a democracy that upholds the rule of law, can accept this fundamental violation of its sovereignty.
Rejecting the claims, India said that Trudeau's hostility to India has long been in evidence, and his government has consciously provided space to violent extremists and terrorists to harass, threaten, and intimidate Indian diplomats and community leaders in Canada. Verma, now withdrawn by New Delhi, has accused Trudeau of wrecking the bilateral ties and reiterated that the Canadian government's allegations are politically motivated. The controversy first erupted in September 2023 when Trudeau linked the Indian government to the killing of Nijjar. New Delhi had termed the allegations absurd and politically motivated. A month later, Canada pulled out 41 diplomats from India and also halted its visa and consular services. Cut to April, slogans of Khalistan Zindabad were raised in the presence of Trudeau at a Khalsa Day event. In July, a temple in Canada's Edmonton was allegedly vandalized by pro-Khalistan activists.
India has repeatedly said that Canada has not been able to present any evidence to back its claims over Nijjar's killing. In fact, Trudeau himself contradicted his strong claims by saying this.
Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof.
The hullabaloo around the whole controversy has deeply affected Trudeau's popularity. Consider this. According to a survey, nearly 40% of Canadians feel that the Trudeau government hasn't properly handled the bilateral relationship with India. To add salt to the wound, the poll also found out that 39% of Canadians believed that ties wouldn't improve till Trudeau was a Prime Minister. International diplomacy is not the only frontier where Trudeau seems to be struggling, as he's faltering inside his own territory as well. His Liberal Party looks set to lose power early next year after more than 9 years in office. The Prime Minister is under increasing pressure from dozens of his own legislators to step down and let someone else take over. Voter fatigue as well as anger over high prices and a housing crisis seem to be driving the discontent towards the embattled leader. Trouble from within the party came to the fore when his deputy and the then finance minister resigned this month, citing differences in opinion over fiscal policies. That's not all. There's also a Donald Trump factor in the mix, as the incoming US president has threatened to slap 25% tariffs on all goods imported from Canada unless the country stops illegal immigration into the country. This friction against Trudeau seems to have benefited one person in particular, Pierre Poilievre. Polls suggest that the opposition leader is a preferred choice of Prime Minister, with many Canadians believing Trudeau should resign.
The Canadian Prime Minister seems to be on borrowed time. The clock is ticking away faster each day. The question that remains is how long he can delay the inevitable of vacating his chair, a chair that seems to be riddled with thorns. This is Vishal Vivek for NDTV World.
That's all the time that we have in 2024. We'll see you in 2025 from the entire team of India Global. Happy New Year.
Sadly, animal cruelty has reached an appalling high. It's the worst animal rescue emergency in our recent history, and we urgently need your help. The RSPCA is the only charity in England and Wales dedicated to animals of every kind. Without us, those facing serious abuse and neglect would simply not be saved. Like you, we can't bear to think of them suffering. That's why, despite the high numbers, we must reach them before it's too late. If you can help us carry on this vital work with a monthly gift, please call or text the number on screen now. Anything you can give would help so much. It'll help us answer more calls. It'll help us rescue more animals in danger and help provide them with the urgent medical treatment, food and loving care they need. I promise we will never give up trying to save every animal we can, but we need your help now more than ever. I can assure you, your gift will help save animals' lives every day. Please call 0800 234 6054, text SAVE to 82727, or visit our website to start your monthly donation today. Thank you.
Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo, the site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. That's luckycowbingo.com/bingo. Visit pandabingo.com for a fantastic range of bingo games all in one place. It's bingo pandemonium at pandabingo.com.
This winter sale, say OMG because our best ever price is back. You'll get this unlimited data SIM for just £22 per month. And you can gift data to the family, so you can start the new year more connected to everyone and everything. All on the UK's best network. That's why families choose EE. Hurry, this winter sale offer ends 30th of January.
Imagine if every choice you made was the right choice. A dead cert. Like Sun Life's 5-star rated over 50s plan. It's a sure thing. We guarantee to accept you, and we guarantee a payout for your loved ones when you die. That could be a cash gift for their future, or could help cover your funeral costs. Now, with new and improved features and our biggest £140 gift card. No wonder we're the nation's favourite. Get your free quote today.
In our January draws, players in one winning postcode will each win £12,000 every month for 12 months. Sign up before midnight tonight.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
the battle for Delhi intensifies, Aam Aadmi Party national convener Arvind Kejriwal launches priests welfare scheme. BJP alleges Kejriwal is Chunavi Hindu. Bengaluru police bans wearing masks and whistling at public places on New Year's Eve. This in a bid to control nuisance and harassment during New Year's Eve celebrations. Relief for BRS leader K.T. Ramarao. Telangana High Court extends his stay on his arrest in the Formula E case. Anti-corruption branch probing alleged irregularities in the race held in Hyderabad last year. As the countdown to Mahakumbh nears, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visits Prayagraj. This is his 5th visit to Prayagraj in a month. UP Chief Minister says all amenities are ready for devotees. Celebrations in New Zealand and Australia as the world rings in 2025. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shab. A gas leak occurred at a gas filling plant in Jaipur's Vishwakarma industrial area, prompting a swift response from the civil defense team. They successfully contained the situation by shutting off the valve, preventing further leakage. The area was enveloped in a white blanket of gas, but fortunately, no casualties were reported. So dramatic visuals that you can see on your screen of a gas leak that has taken place in Jaipur's Vishwakarma industrial area. The defense team, the civil defense team responded swiftly. They were successful in containing the situation. In fact, they went and shut off the valve, preventing further leakage. And as you can see on your screens, the entire area was enveloped in a white blanket of gas. Fortunately, no casualties were reported. And my colleague Harsha Kumari Singh joins us on the phone line to get us more on this. Harsha, this is extremely fortunate situation that there was no casualty. What details do you have?
Well, yes, earlier in the evening today, there is this gas filling plant in Vishwakarma, which is a little outside the city. It's on the industrial area. And there was a gas leakage which happened from a tanker. The tanker, the valve broke and a lot of CO2 gas leaked out, and it spread to about 200-300 meters in that area. Now, remember, this kind of carbon dioxide is used to, cool things down. It's called, there's a technical word for it, and it's called, I beg your pardon, I can't remember the exact name, but anyway, so this what happened was it spread in the area, and it reduced the visibility in that area, and it also caused a lot of panic because of the reduced visibility and the fact that it had spread. And you know that we've just had a similar accident when a gas tanker had got collided sometime back on the Jaipur-Ajmer highway. So there was a lot of panic, but luckily the prompt action by the police and the civil defense team, they came and sprayed water on it, so all the gas settled down. There was no casualty. And, they managed to ask people to stay indoors and control the situation within about an hour or so. And in fact, now the plant is back to normal operations.
All right, Harsha Kumari Singh, thank you very much for getting us all the latest. And our national convener and former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal launched the Priests Honorarium Scheme from a Delhi temple today after much political drama where he skipped a visit to the landmark Hanuman Temple in central Delhi, where BJP leaders had gathered for a protest. The BJP has hit out at Mr. Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, saying that Aam Aadmi Party remembers Hindu gods only during elections. As Kejriwal launched a scheme offering Rs 18,000 monthly for temple priests and Gurudwara Granthis, the BJP mocked him with a poster showing him in Rudraksh and garlands, labeling him opportunistic.
मैं तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से पूछूंगी, आप हमसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं। आपकी 22 राज्यों में सरकार है, आपके पास तो बहुत मौका है। आप एक राज्य में नहीं, 2 राज्य में नहीं, 3 राज्य में नहीं, 22 राज्यों में ये करके दिखा सकते हैं। लेकिन अगर आज आम आदमी पार्टी ने ये फैसला किया है कि हम पुजारियों को और ग्रंथियों को एक सम्मान देना चाहते हैं, एक सम्मान राशि देना चाहते हैं, तो आप हमें गाली क्यों निकाल रहे हैं? आप हमें उल्टा सीधा क्यों बोल रहे हैं? मैं तो बस हाथ जोड़ के भारतीय जनता पार्टी से निवेदन करूंगी कि पुजारियों के मुद्दे पर, ग्रंथियों के मुद्दे पर इतने सम्मान योग जो लोग हैं उन पर राजनीति ना की जाए।
ये वो केजरीवाल जी है, ये वो आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार है जिसने 17 महीनों से ना इमामों को वेतन दिया, ना मौलवियों को वेतन दिया। और जब वो पहुंचे उनके घर पर प्रदर्शन करने के लिए, तो उस समस्या का निदान करने की चेष्टा नहीं करी। 1 दशक तक आपने ना पुजारियों का सम्मान करा, ना धर्म स्थलों का सम्मान करा, ना ग्रंथियों का सम्मान करा। आज जब चुनाव निकट हैं तो आप उनको वोट बैंक की राजनीति के तहत उनका स्मरण कर रहे हैं, उनको ये झूठे वादे दिखा रहे हैं।
West Bengal's leader of opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari, was in Sandesh Khali today, a day after Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's visit to the island. Sandesh Khali was, remember, in the news earlier in the year, especially in the run-up to the Lok Sabha elections, where women alleged exploitation and land grab. Yesterday, Mamata Banerjee had termed the Sandesh Khali allegations as lies and said there was a huge game of money being played there. Today, Shubhendu Adhikari hit back at Mamata Banerjee. Here's a report.
For the obscure island of Sandesh Khali, 2024 ended with heavy-duty political events. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Leader of Opposition Shubhendu Adhikari made the island the venue of their last public events for 2024. Boshirhat will see a by-election again due to the death of its Member of Parliament Haji Nurul Islam, and once again, the Sandesh Khali issue is likely to feature prominently, which is why Mamata Banerjee appealed to women voters in her speech, while Shubhendu Adhikari appealed to Hindu voters to ensure Sandesh Khali gives a lead to the BJP.
আকাশরানীকাল এসেছিলেন হেলিকপ্টারে, কত পুলিশ এসেছিল? ৭,০০০ পুলিশ। কালকে মমতা বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়ের বর্ষ শেষের উৎসবে খরচ কত? 3 কোটি টাকা। কার টাকা? আপনার আমার টাকা, ট্যাক্সের টাকা, জনগণের টাকা।
মিথ্যা বেশি দিন চলে না, মিথ্যেটা কিন্তু একদিন প্রকাশ পায়। আমি চাই যা হয়েছে হয়েছে, আমার মনে নেই, আমি ভুলে গেছি। আমি মনে রাখতে চাই সন্দেশখালীর মেয়েরা, ছেলেরা তারা 1 নম্বর স্থানে আসুক। বিজেপির চক্রান্ত তো আপনারা জানেন, সারাক্ষণ ওদের অনেক টাকা আছে, বিজেপির টাকায় হাত দেবেন না।
Sandesh Khali has seen a shift in the political landscape there since the last election. Sujoy Master or Sujoy Mondal, one of the faces of the agitation in Sandesh Khali, joined the Trinamool Congress on the day of Mamata Banerjee's visit. And while